The Atlanta Braves had off yesterday, but there is one topic I have to talk about as the trade deadline. We are now in July, so in about a month, the trade deadline will be here. The Braves have to make some moves. We're all talking about the outfield. We've talked about Orlando Arcia briefly, but I'm past the point where we're kind of like, maybe Orlando Arcia. No, Orlando Arcia cannot be the starting shortstop for the Atlanta Braves in the second half of the season. There's no excuse for it. He is the worst offensive player dating back to the second half of last year. He's the worst offensive player in baseball. He hasn't been good defensively. He hasn't been good defensively over the last 2 months. He's been a league average defender. So don't sit here and act like he's Andrelton Simmons out there saving runs left and right. No, he's not. He's a league average shortstop. Y'all were just used to watching Vaughn Grissom play a little bit of shortstop before that. So get out of this with Orlando. I mean, he's not even close to Dansby Swanson defensively. Not even close. Not even on the same stratosphere. So he's not this fantastic elite. He makes a good play here or there. He also misses a ton of plays. He is so bad at the plate. I mean, since April 29th, he is hitting 166. That's 2.5 months. I mean, he's an automatic out doesn't even do it justice. Like me and you can go out there and do what Orlando Arcia is doing offensively or damn near close to it. I mean, it's pathetic. It's awful. And he should have never been the starting shortstop coming into the season. I was shocked the Braves didn't try to upgrade, but it's fine. You make a mistake. It's a better late than never thing. You tried to roll with it. It didn't work. Cut your losses. Get out from underneath this mountain of crap you have playing shortstop. I mean, he's terrible. He is god awful at everything at the shortstop position. And I don't care if it's Nacho Alvarez. I don't really. We saw how that worked with Vaughn Grissom. I'm not excited to go throw a 21-year-old and be like, hey, you're the starting shortstop for a contender. Like, no, that's not it. That's not what I want to do. Now, if you want to test it out before the trade deadline and see if you can handle it, not against it. But really, you got to really start looking at and I'm not saying you're going to go out there and get a Bo Bichette. That would be great. Or maybe you don't even think that's great. But that's kind of the star shortstop that could be out there. Kenneth Falafa is another guy from the Blue Jays having an amazing season that can play shortstop. And he can also play the outfield. So I'm really intrigued by that. But even like an Ahmad Rosario or somebody better than Orlando Arcia. There's a guy. I mean, you got to do everything possible. Search every nook and cranny and find out a replacement for Orlando Arcia, because this is not getting better. And there's no figuring anything out. He has been a bad offensive player his entire career, and he's been a slightly above average glove. And if that's what you want with this offense, looking at the back of that lineup card and seeing what you see, if that's what you want, fine by me. I just don't. I think it's unacceptable. I never thought he should have been the starting shortstop. I said this before the season, and I'm going to say it. I'm saying it again right now. A lot. So I know you let me go, but
all right.
My thoughts.
I'm going to go through a couple of things. I think, anybody defending Orlando Arcia is either just in it for the arguments, which I get. I do that. I like to just argue to argue. I don't know what that is in my head that I do that, but I do enjoy it. So I can get that if you're just like, I'm down to argue. Orlando Arcia is not that bad. And that's a fair point. What he's doing right now is awful. And he has been a below average offensive player his entire career. Last season, the first half of last season was a total aberration. I don't know if the Braves were cheating or if Orlando Arcia just turned into prime Barry Bonds for like three months. I don't know what it was. But that's not who he was. And he's not been this bad defensively either. He's been above average defensive shortstop for much of his career and below average offensive player for much of his career. It just so happens everything is going wrong. He's sucking offensively. He's missing plays he should not be missing. And the entire Braves offense is doing bad. If those two first things were happening, bad offense, bad defense, but the Braves offense was eerily similar to last year's Matt Olson career year, Austin Riley MVP campaign, Ronald Acuna, one of the greatest individual seasons we've seen of all time. All the all-stars performing like all-stars when Orlando Arcia was performing like this, we wouldn't be having this as emergency of a conversation like, hey, something's got to change, but everything is going wrong. So we have to talk about like the areas that you can upgrade. Now I kind of want to turn it to like, obviously we have to upgrade, but this isn't, the bullpen where you could just go out on the street and find an upgrade, generally speaking, or an outfielder where it's like, yeah, we can go find average defense with a little bit of pop. It's pretty easy. It's pretty cheap. This might not be easy and it might not be cheap. And it might not be possible in terms of how Alex Anthopoulos thinks about value. I agree with you. Like, we can't, if we're serious about contending for a World Series, we can't go into the stretch with Orlando Arcia as our starting shortstop. But let's not, like, we have to address the elephant in the room that, like, it's a distinct possibility that he is the starting shortstop for the rest of the season because the options may be limited. And if the Braves don't want to thrust Nacho Alvarez into maybe a situation that, I don't know the kid, it's probably too big for him. It's probably too big for him. There's very few kids who can go up there and immediately kind of, translate their game to the major league level. He's talented as all get out, but, like, let's just call a spade a spade. Playing deep shortstop is the hardest position other than maybe center field or catcher. So it's no easy task. But also, is he going to be worse than Orlando Arcia? I seriously doubt it. And then outside of that, what are you going to do as far as, like, the trade market with the outfielders? I get they're going to be a little bit cheap, but the farm system is still barren with talent. And those few pieces you do want to keep for future, rotation purposes. It's a distinct possibility this guy's our starting shortstop for the rest of the season. And this can is kicked into the offseason. I mean,
yeah, it's a possibility. It's a possibility that I hate. I mean, like, I don't know what else you want me to say. I'm not disagreeing with you. Like,
so do you think, let me give you a scenario. You're either overpaying for an average shortstop, which is an immediate upgrade, or Orlando Arcia.
But I don't think you're going to be like, what are we overpaying for? Like a Kenner Falafa, like a guy who's a utility man. I mean, that guy has 3 WAR on the season. Now, he's probably having Orlando Arcia like first half.
And he could regress.
Yeah. He's having an Orlando Arcia type first half.
And but Orlando Arcia could regress in a positive direction offensively. He's a streaky hitter. We're talking all this crap about him, and he'll probably go out there and have a few week stretch where everybody is kind of reminded, where it's like, oh, he is a streaky hitter. He is not this bad offensively, Chase. Like, he is going through a terrible slump.
Buddy, he has been the worst offensive player in baseball for a calendar year.
He hasn't been the worst offensive player in baseball his entire career. He's been he's like an 85 WRC plus over his career if you take out this season.
No.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
No, he's had one season over 100.
I said 85.
I know, but he's had one over 100. That's still 15. But listen.
And if he plays above average defense at shortstop, and if the rest of his lineup gets their head out of their ass, we're not having this conversation.
That's generous. I mean, listen, he's terrible. I don't know what else to say. I mean, maybe he turns around. I don't see it turning around. Maybe you like him for clubhouse vibes. All I'm saying is I'm leaving no stone unturned trying to fix this situation.
Nor should they. I'm not saying
I'm trying to replace him as quickly as possible. I wanted to replace him after what he did in the NLDS, acting like a child out there. I mean, I'm sorry. And I know people like Orlando Arcia on this team. And I know what our perspective is a lot different than what the players in the clubhouse think. So I take that into account as a big reason why he still is the starting shortstop and could be the starting shortstop. But I hated the way that really put a sour taste in my mouth about the way that he acted in the NLDS. I think it put a sour taste in everybody's mouth. And I just have always felt like that first half of last year was a complete, like, let's be real, guys. We've seen Orlando Arcia. There's a reason we got him from Patrick Weigel. Do you even know who Patrick Weigel is? Like, there's a reason why he was traded to us in April for Patrick Weigel or whatever, however you ever say his name. But I understand what you're saying, though. I mean, there is an opportunity. There might not be an opportunity, but I listen. I think at the very least, you go out there and find options. Like, go out there and replace Zach Short and make it a competition. Like, that's the thing that you have to do. At the very least, you have to find competition.
I think if you have any like inclination that Nacho Alvarez might have to be the solution, or not even a solution, I don't even know what to call it. He's got to be up there like now. He has got to be up there like.
I don't hate it.
And playing every 2 weeks, like right now, every single day for the next 2 to 3 weeks, he's got to be playing. So you get an idea, because you can't put him up there for a week and then be like, "Ooh, this guy's really good," and then he goes and all over himself for the rest of the season. Like,
yeah,
he needs to be up there today.
I don't hate it. I don't love the idea of sticking a 21-year-old out there to be your major league shortstop. But listen, dude, sometimes they come out and ball. Like, what if he is ready? What if he is like made for this moment? And like, it's not like there's going to be pressure, but like there's pressure on everybody. Like there's pressure on Orlando Arcia right now to perform. Like who do you think's feeling more pressure? A 21-year-old Nacho Alvarez who knows he's probably the who's played really well in Gwinnett, or Orlando Arcia, who for the last year can't hit the broadside of the barn, and everywhere he looks, there's people like me saying, you suck, you need to get on the bench, and I never want to see you again. I'm part of the breaks. I mean, who's really feeling more pressure? Probably the guy that's 30 years old and fighting for his job to stay in at the major league level, rather than the 21-year-old kid that probably doesn't know better. He's probably like, this is easy. AAA, I just get promoted. This stuff's easy, And dude, we've seen, how many times do you see a guy come up, and it may not mean something good for his career, but how many times does a rookie come up and for 2 months hit the hell out of the ball? Like it's almost like it doesn't even affect them. They just play lights out for about a 2-month stretch because they don't know any better. Like they don't know what failure feels like. All they know is good. They're like, oh, this MLB stuff is easy. I mean, we see it. I mean, God, think about Jeff Francoeur's start to his career. That guy hit nearly 500 for about a 2-month stretch. Unbelievable rookie, goes out there and he turns out to not have that great of a career. But catch lightning in a bottle happens all the time. And I'm telling you, Nacho Alvarez is a lot more confident right now after recording 1,000 OPS in Gwinnett than Orlando Arcia is at the plate. I guarantee that.
I mean, yeah, we could be looking for upgrades at shortstop. The fact is it's going to be much easier to upgrade the outfield. And what's easier than all of that? These idiots getting their head out of their ass and playing like MVP caliber all-stars like we know they can be. Every single one of them. That's what we really need.
Yeah. Well, at least we can pitch. Yeah. I can tell you the bottom half of this order makes me want to pluck my eyes out. Oh, my God. It makes me so sick. Yeah, but we got to go to break.